Hello, NAAIA community. Get ready to relive insightful discussions, gain fresh perspectives, and be inspired by the wealth of knowledge our community has to offer. Let's dive into another episode.
Everyone, good morning from cold Chicago and good afternoon to my Eastern time zone colleagues, and welcome to today's webinar, part of NAAIA's Insurance Careers Month webinar. We will explore the impact of leadership, mentorship, and service in the insurance industry and beyond. Today, we are honored to have two distinguished leaders with us. First, we welcome Tashonda Fleming, Senior Vice President of IP Large Property US at Sompo International. With extensive experience in the industry, Tashonda is a dedicated advocate for inclusion and mentorship, shaping the future of insurance through her leadership. We are also joined by Kevin Bryant, Managing Director at Marsh, where he leads the U.S. public entity, nonprofit, and education practice. Kevin brings deep expertise in risk management and a strong commitment to fostering equitable opportunities in the industry. We very much look forward to engaging in discussions as they share their insights on advancing inclusion, building community, and the future of the insurance profession. Now let's dive in. All right. So with backgrounds like that, I'm sure everyone is, including myself, are very eager to hear a little bit about each of your career journeys. Tashonda and Kevin, what led you to the insurance industry, and what were some key moments that shaped your path? Along the way, was there an ally or mentor who played a significant role in your growth, and what made that relationship so impactful?
Shonda, I will let you go first because you know my daughter. I already know you, and I see that my daughter Christina has joined. So trust me, I am under so much pressure right now, and
no, I appreciate
I am
that,
nervous
Kevin.
because I will be getting a text from her if I don't meet her expectations. So please kick it off, and I'll go
No, I
after you.
appreciate it. I appreciate it, Kevin. Happy to answer the question. It's so loaded too, but one that I'm happy to share some insights on. And I know that it's common for individuals to state that they fell into the insurance industry. And over time, I really kind of have amended or changed the way that I've addressed that. And it's more so the insurance industry discovered me while I was in college as a mathematics major. And to make a long and mildly dull story short, I had inquired about other options because mathematics as a major just wasn't very exciting. And I was offered a scholarship and a paid internship for declaring risk management and insurance as my major. So I've been locked in ever since. So that's really what brought me in to the industry, and knowing that there were so many options for like risk management, underwriting, claims. It just seemed like there was a world of opportunity where I could have options to do different things. And to add a little bit of insight, that first internship was personal lines claims at Georgia Farm Bureau. So I really went for it in the insurance industry. But some of the key moments that shaped my path were one of my internships that I had. It was the second internship that I had in college. I was able to kind of gain some insights from a consultant who had retired from the industry for about 40 years or so. And I really just wanted to know, like, hey, what's the easiest line of business or product for someone starting their career? And they recommended that I try property insurance, given that it's kind of tangible assets, buildings that you're in, and or like natural catastrophes and hurricanes, floods, all those things. So I figured that's what I'll do. And over 15 plus years later, I've still been doing property insurance ever since. So that was one of the key moments, is just kind of gaining that insight from a consultant that had left the industry from being there for 40 plus years, and they had some scope on some options of what would be best to do. So that was one of the things that really shaped my path overall. And another thing that shaped my path was just rejection. To be completely fair, I tried out for several opportunities, got out there, pushed for different options, and being told no kind of helped me shape my path into what I really wanted. And I realized that I didn't like the word no. I liked yes. And so I went to where I could find a space and place to where I was taken seriously and my ambitions were welcomed. So I sought out a trainee opportunity. I was rejected for that. But I believed in the organization, and one of my now allies that was there as well, who pushed for me to get an opportunity to where I relocated from Georgia, Alpharetta, Georgia, to New York as a trainee, maybe 6 or 8 months after I started a role as a UA. So I never had the desire to live in New York or things of that nature, but I think it's one of those things about the insurance industry that led me here, which is a world of opportunity. And you get you're able to do things that you never thought that you would do. And I really think that the industry opened my mind to dreaming bigger and believing in myself and seeing someone like myself being able to do that. And so I'm a little long-winded, Kevin, but I'm going to just add a
That's
little
okay.
bit.
That's okay. So
I want to add
let
a
me
little bit
jump
about
in.
the allies, if you don't mind. The
Okay.
allies and
All right.
mentors, that's like the
Give
latter
me
part of the
some time,
question.
okay?
I promise I will, I promise. But I wanted to just add something about the allies that helped me along the way, because I didn't come from a background where I knew a lot of individuals that were in corporate America. And I recall really seeing individuals like me that were EVPs, CEOs, and they were able to really give me blunt feedback on how to navigate being a woman of color in this space without knowing other individuals to help me along the way with brand, being visible and vocal, and not being afraid to say how I feel and to speak truth in those rooms. So that's some of the things that have helped me along the way. So Kevin, I'll take some time back and give it to
Okay.
you.
Okay. Thank you so very much. Great story, by the way. Thank you. And I can easily see your passion and why you are so successful. So let me take you back to the early 1990s, which some of you probably were not even born then. But anyway, my journey into this industry was totally accidental. So I was a student athlete at my alma mater, a private college here in South Carolina by the name of Furman. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Furman, but I was going to law school after that I was graduating. So that spring, I was doing some odd work just to make some money from a very rich Furman donor. And so he paid me very, very well just to come over and do some odd things, cut the grass, pick weeds and things like that. So this gentleman's name was Alistair Furman, and Alistair was the great grandson of the founders of Furman University. James Furman founded Furman in 1826. But anyway, Alistair Furman sold his insurance agency to Marsh McLennan in 1977. Alistair was a very accomplished man, sat on the board of Coca-Cola, Florida Daniel, and was a living member of a Augusta National Golf Course. So obviously he was a very successful man. And one of the key moments was when he asked me what my plans were after graduation. I told him that I was going on to law school. He said, "Have you ever thought about the insurance industry?" I said, "No." He said, "Well, let me tell you, if you get into this industry, I will show you how to make money like a white man." That was it. I was sold. I was like, look, law school is done. So got into this industry, and I had two very, very prominent allies, gentlemen by the name of Charlie Crodler and Raymond Newsom, who gave me my opportunity in sales and then as a leader at Marsh. So I was the first Black person hired at Marsh, South Carolina, when I joined in 1997. And it's hard to believe that wasn't that long ago, but that's how that I got my start. And obviously I've been blessed beyond belief after that. And I will share some of those stories with you later, but I know that we need to move on to the next question. So that's how I got my start.
All right, thank you both so much. I think it's very important to share a lot of backgrounds, because a lot of people see the success, they see where you are now, but they don't really hear what it took to get there. They don't hear, Tashonda, they don't hear the no's that you took.
Right.
Kevin, they don't hear a lot of how you really got those things started. So I think this really sets the stage for the rest of the conversation. So thank you both for sharing. So I'm sure that, this next one is not going to be shocking for anyone. Underrepresented professionals have historically faced unique challenges in career advancement, not just in insurance, but just across the board. In today's insurance industry, however, do you believe that these challenges still persist? If so, how can networking and mentorship be leveraged to genuinely support and uplift these underrepresented professionals without reinforcing the pressures they face?
I'll go first here.
Okay.
So yes, these challenges do persist for us. And honestly, I'm seeing some of the same challenges creep back into our space when I joined the industry in the late 1980s. So we as Black people make up 14% of the country's population. We have greater representation in the industry now, yet we still struggle to achieve leadership and executive roles in our industry. For instance, and I'm being completely transparent here, less than 3% of the managing directors, which are the top level at Marsh, are Black. President Harry Truman said something that is very profound, and I believe that we are still seeing this. And he said, "There's nothing new in the world except the history you do not know." So what's different now for us is that we have more Black professionals in this industry, as indicated by this call today. So we must support one another. Mentorship, allyship, sponsorship are even more important now in today's what I call reset world, where some give the impression that they want us to go back in time. However, you, like those before you, are resilient and strong. And as I tell my children, remember, we sweat in training so we don't bleed in battle. So keep pressing forward.
Wonderful.
Oh, that was awesome, Kevin. I obviously agree. It's certainly something that is still a challenge, and I'll kind of add a little bit more to the pressure that is faced. And I wish that I could say, even at a senior level, that I don't still feel that pressure. Walking into those new levels at the executive level, as Kevin stated, is generally still even less of a percentage of people of color when we get to those senior executive levels in an organization. But I would say, for me, I really had to think about, I'm like, pressure really does make diamonds. And so sometimes I have to receive it. And sometimes I have to feel that and also pass it forward, pass it on to those other folks in the room so that they know that my presence is here and it's adding value and it's producing results. But the advice that I would give anyone who's looking to find a way to leverage it is to set a clear vision for yourself so that you can really know what you're networking for, right? So at different stages of my career, there were different things that I needed to gain from networking or mentorship relationships. And so if you're early in your career, you're really starting out fresh, like set that stage of, I just want to learn how to talk to individuals in this industry. It's something that Kevin said previously where, I want to earn money like a white man. I wish someone told me that. Okay, so maybe I need to talk to Kevin. But, like I walked in the room and I'm like, I'm the only a Black woman in the room, and I was the only woman in the room altogether of all white males. And I'm like, man, okay, well, what do I actually want to do and learn from this? And at first I just wanted to learn how to have a conversation with individuals that I regularly didn't speak to. So figuring out what you're comfortable speaking about, your brand or traveling or food or TV shows, all easy little things that can lighten your load if you're not ready to talk about technical expertise or navigating a business deal or something like that. I think that if you start with your vision, you set those goals, and then you set a framework of what you're comfortable with, can help eliminate some of the pressures of being in spaces or being in areas where you're not comfortable. And I also think the other part of not reinforcing those pressures that people face with networking is individuals like myself, like Kevin, like even Bree, right? Where when we see other folks in the room, we come and we bring you in. I bring you into a conversation. I say, hey, do you know this individual? They're at XYZ organization and they do this, or they're looking for an opportunity. And I think that NAAIA is one of those great spaces where you can do it. But don't just do that in NAAIA. Do it in your organization internally. Do that when you're out and about on client meetings, et cetera, things like that. Like, so find those opportunities where you don't feel as much pressure, practice, build on it. And it kind of goes back to my first comment of getting no. there will be awkward conversations when you're networking. There will be opportunities where you're like, man, I really bombed that. Like, that did not work at all. But knowing that the next time you can improve upon it, do better, and figure out how to hone on that skill of networking, because it is a skill. I think that that can help you with navigating the pressure and just understanding yourself, I think, and being aware of self. I think that's one of the most important things that you can do when it comes to networking and navigating where we're underrepresented overall as a baseline.
Cool. Thank you, Tashawn, and thank you, Kevin, both of you. I think that was a fabulous segue into the next question. A lot of professionals, especially those of us from underrepresented backgrounds, we struggle where to start in building those meaningful connections, not just building connections for the sake of it, but having intention behind it. At the beginning, like you said, a lot of it's very general, but then you start honing in on what is it that I'm looking for? What is it that I need? So maybe Kevin, we'll start with you, because Tashonda, I think you just gave a ton of really good nuggets on this specific question. What are some advice that you would give to someone looking to be more intentional with their networking? And what are some more creative or non-traditional ways that they can connect without having that existing network or mentor to begin with?
I would start by saying, and I preach this to my children, I'm not sure that they listen to me sometimes, but if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Let me repeat that. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. What do I mean by that? Build your network with people who can support and advocate for you. I've always asked myself this key question. If I'm not in the room, who can speak for me in that room where I am not present? Who is my ally, supporter, advocate? I would argue those are the people you want to know and develop relationships with. So I personally struggle with the notion that anyone can create relationships without a certain effort level that they have to give and commitment to support and define and telling people where you want to go, where you want to be, because that helps determine how far that you can go in life. Try to understand that if anything becomes urgent, it's too late. Again, if it becomes urgent, it's too late. So be proactive, steadfast in building relationships, as relationships truly have no boundaries as to where they can take you. So if you haven't, start today asking yourself, who has influence at my firm, at my circle, at another firm that I may want to work at one day, and do I know them? Or do I need to develop a better relationship with them? Because again, you need to build your network with people who can support and advocate you when you're not in the room. Because that's when decisions are made. LaShonda?
Yeah, no, I can add something to that. I think that all those are fair points, and Bree's correct. I was definitely speaking to that before. I think that it's hard to find new creative ways to really kind of build connections, but I think a lot of it is just overcoming that initial fear, that fear of like being rejected or saying the wrong thing or looking as if you're not prepared. I think just finding that balance of being authentic and honest. I remember some of my early, and I don't like networking. Okay. Some people may see or think that I'm extroverted and all those things, that this comes easy to me. It does not roll off the tongue. I have worked at this. But I think that it takes a lot of, it takes some more creative thought. And in my early days, I just would find a spot and I would pick one person, because to me, that was like a mountain to overcome. And I would figure out a way to communicate with them. And I don't know, in terms of the audience, if you have the opportunities to go to places like RIMS or conferences like RIMS and things of that nature, but RIMS has so many different people that I practiced at RIMS, and I volunteered to be at the booth so that I would just have a steady flow of so many different people. And I had to practice speaking to everybody. And I'm still friends with some of these people today. We don't intersect in terms of business, but it really helped me learn how to network and how to forge connections and forge relationships, and then grow from that. And so I encourage anyone, if there's opportunities like that, even if it's internal, they have social hours or social events, a soccer match where everyone goes to watch. Use that as a building block to hone in on that skill and to practice on how you can start forging those relationships, and go to coffee, have a chat. I think the newer generation in insurance, they certainly have challenged me, and they brought to the forefront the importance of wellness and health. Ask someone to go for a hike. If you're in Chicago, like Bree, when it's not cold, you can go for a walk by the lake. Or if you're somewhere else, find those creative ways and things where you find synergies with others that are in your peer group or beyond, so that it can help you forge those relationships and partnerships. And those people can be thinking about you in the future if they come across someone that has something that can help you or guide you along the way. And I think it's funny that Kevin says it, right? Me and his daughter Christina, we worked together, or in her position where she is and in my role, and I was able to meet her dad through her, right? And all those small little connections, they begin to build, and they grow your community and your own network in the industry, and you just add to it. Who knew that I would be on a panel? I'm like texting her like, hey, I'm on a session with your dad. I love this, right? But it's that small of a world, and you don't have to think that it's so massive. You can shrink it so there's something that you can manage and that you're comfortable with. And I would say another creative thing that I would do right now is, like, I'm willing to be anybody's backdrop, anybody's person that they want to kind of roundtable with on how to network, practice. I can be awkward, we can practice, or you can use AI tools to have conversations, right? I did some things on LinkedIn Learning recently with AI having conversation. It can give you feedback to help you figure out how to have those conversations and to come across in the manner in which you like. So those are just some of the suggestions that I have.
That's great.
Great.
That's great, Tashonda. That's great, Kevin. I think that's great feedback for people looking to figure out how to get out there and network. Personally, Tashonda, opposite of you, I love networking. All through high school, through college, but it's a much smaller pond, I would say. And when I joined Willis at the beginning of my career, being on a casualty team, a large complex casualty team, I was really struggling to figure out how can I be a little bit more creative in getting out of this little small circle of all white men that I was in. And once I found the unique ways that really worked for me, it really unlocked a lot of new opportunities that, now has eventually led me to working at a startup with industry giant like Steve McGill. So I agree. I think you really have to tailor it to you and what your personality suits. And you have to be a little bit more creative. And to Kevin, to your point, once it's urgent, people can tell, right? They can tell that you're trying to use them for something. Yeah. So you want to make sure that it looks more like a give take relationship, right? Exactly. So that being said, Kevin, I would love to know what your key strategies for networking that have significantly contributed to your career advancement, particularly as it relates to fostering diversity and inclusion, outside of being told that you can make money like a white.
Wow. Okay. That is an absolute wonderful question, Bree. And I would start by saying I believe there's a direct connection between networking and mobility. So I'm not sure if everyone knows that 40% of people in America never leave their area code. So think about that. 40% of people in America never leave their area code. So you must be comfortable being uncomfortable in certain situations. So my key strategy has always been to chase great management and don't always chase money. So don't get me wrong, money is great and we all desire to have more money, but great management will surround themselves with talent and pay high-performing professionals. There's a sea of money to be made in this industry. There really is, but there is not a sea of great management. So I would recommend to everyone to observe and learn from great leaders in management. But remember this, powerful people will never teach powerless people how to take power from them. So that's why you should build alliances with those you can learn from, build and grow from, so you can build power without objections or ever making the powerful feel like that you are threatening them. So that's my suggestion.
I think that's great, Kevin. And I agree, being uncomfortable, every opportunity that I've had that made me a little uncomfortable out of my comfort zone, that is where I saw the fruits of my labor really come to fruition. So I definitely agree with that. In the efforts of time, and so we have enough time for Q&A, we're going to move on to 5. But just as a little tidbit, if you do have any questions that you would like Kevin or Tashonda or even me to answer during the Q&A, please go ahead and put it in the Q&A chat box, and we'll get to that in a bit. So to go along with, all these great, amazing nuggets both of you have given us as far as networking and getting out there, how do you measure the impact of networking efforts on your personal growth and organizational diversity? And what outcomes have you seen that reflect the success of fostering inclusive connections? Tashonda, I just saw somebody in the chat say that you broke the glass ceiling for the US for the property of Black girls. So I would love to hear how you kind of feel about that.
Yeah, no, that obviously touches my heart, and that's one of the ways that I measure my impact, is paying it forward, but also creating a path that's not just for me to walk alone. And it goes back to some of the things that Kevin also said as well, and showing that we can do it well successfully and execute. And it's not just about the compensation, it's about the results that you can bring forth, and also leading with positive impact and intent. And so for me, it's about being inclusive versus exclusive. And obviously that impacts obviously people that are diverse backgrounds, but it goes beyond that when it comes to networking, especially at the executive and senior level, because I'm doing this and I'm hoping that I can forge that path for everyone else, and really say from the mountaintops, hey, this experience has helped me, and I know that it could help you with your colleagues. So I encourage you to advocate for your employees to participate in whatever in NAAIA and participate in other conferences and things of that nature. So I really will go to the ends of whatever bandwidth that I have available to ensure that I'm encouraging other leaders that are not like me, but also like me as well, to learn about what people need and how they need help, assistance, and support, and what you are encouraged to do or challenged to do, either way, however you see that, to aid others. And for me, like I'll point to one of the outcomes that I thought was really important to me in terms of positive outcomes from the success of fostering inclusive connections. And that was it's just awareness, one. And then for me, a positive outcome is like bridging gaps of understanding. And I remember the pandemic hit in New York. It was not exciting at all to be trapped in an apartment. And it's a time that we all relate back to, but it really is something that caused me to open my eyes to the impact that I could have positively with people that were non-people of color. And it was a George Floyd protest, and there was a lot of confusion on what was happening, how do people feel, and naturally a lot of people of color, we were connecting, internally at organizations and outside, and we were talking about the emotional impact and what we wanted to do. But I had a white male reach out to me, and I was shocked, and he asked me to talk to someone on his team to help them understand what was happening. And a lot of people will say, oh my God, like, I don't want to be the person that is helping this other individual who has no clue of what's happening. But this person had already built rapport with me to know that I take these things to heart. And being from Southern Georgia in a small town, I have no issues educating anybody about what it means to be a Black person in America or a person of color in the United States of America. And so for me, that was such a positive outcome because he wasn't afraid to reach out to me. And it meant that in our relationship and the rapport that we built, that I had created a safe space for him to say, this person doesn't know, I don't know, and I need your help. And to me, like, that's a win. right? Because if I can carry it for one person and then it goes to the next person, then, and you can correct some of those wrongs that other individuals have had for years and years for their upbringing, et cetera, then why not me? Right. And so for me, that's the outcome. Like, why not me? Why not now? And why not continue to be a beacon of light when it comes to those things? And also when it comes to professional career evolution, where we can go, what the glass ceiling means, and whether it should exist or not, because I will shatter it, okay, every time I can. Seriously. But that's, to me, those are the positive outcomes. And seeing someone else be able to achieve that or even go past where I am, that brings me joy. That makes me happy. So I'll see if Kevin wants to add any more thoughts to that. But to me, those are the ways that I kind of weigh it for myself.
No, you have really summed it up very, very well. And I just want to emphasize my belief that there is a direct connection between networking and mobility. I'm like, man, Kevin, why are you still talking about that? Because mobility offends a lot of people, particularly employers, bosses, managers, right? Mobility to some is seen as a lack of loyalty. One of the reasons I have achieved the title, officer level, and total compensation I have is because of mobility. Look, I've only worked at 2 firms, and whether I call it boomeranging or mobility, it's actually worked for me. I'm not endorsing or saying a person can't grow to incredible levels with their current employer, but what I am saying from my experience is know your worth. The market decides that, because each time I made a move, not for the sake of making a move or switching jerseys, but for strategic reasons, I gained in every aspect: role, title, compensation, influence. And each time it was my inclusive relationships I've built with men, women, white, black, yellow, brown, that propelled me upwardly at both Aon and Marsh. So seek out all relationships that can help you grow. And I just want to drop one pearl of wisdom as you think about networking. And it's the single rule of diplomacy that I call it. And that's, you never have permanent friends or permanent enemies, only permanent interests. So everyone that you allow in your life that can impact in life, that you want to impact your life or help you get somewhere, should impact you positively, and your interests should always align.
Great. This is amazing. This is advice that I wish I would have had much earlier in my career. But, Tashonda, for example, in the casualty space, I hope that one day people can speak about me the same way. I've really tried to do my best in bringing others in with me as well. And Kevin, like you said, you have your role, right? You know what you're trying to do. You have your role, and people are either going to be with you or not. And that's not a negative thing. Sometimes people serve their purpose at the moment. So definitely understand that one. All right. So this is going to be the last question before the Q&A. So if you have any other questions, please go ahead and throw it in there. I'm seeing questions coming in. And this one is going to be a big loaded question, you two, that many organizations have been pondering for years before I've been in the industry. But with both of your amazing accomplishments, your visibility, and your amazing ability to network, I think you guys are both very much suited to answer this one. How do you think organizations can better support employees in building inclusive networks? And what practical steps can leaders take to promote diversity within their company's networking initiatives?
I'll go. So I mean, it's definitely loaded. And I'll particularly focus a little bit more on the practical steps for leaders, but I'll start with a few things that organizations can do to better support folks. Naturally, again, encouraging them to be involved with diverse insurance organizations and beyond is a great starting point. But I think just connecting individuals internally is a good starting space. You're already on technically the broader same team. And I think that can be a good starting point. Mentor programs that forge relationships that are not with just diverse candidate to diverse candidate or individual. I've seen book clubs, fitness clubs, you know, like whatever it is, there's someone else that enjoys it, I guarantee. So just figuring out how to find that space internally or externally, whatever it may be. There's a wide world of things in LinkedIn. I think those are some of the small things that organizations can do to encourage folks to build more inclusive networks. And also just organizations have a responsibility to support others. And I think organizations, there's a lot of weight that we place on the organization to think of everything and to do everything. But if you have an idea, don't be afraid to be radical and bold enough to present that and present a plan and see if you can get support. I think people would be surprised at how organizations and or leaders of segments, units, whatever they may be, would support an idea that you present that they didn't think of, right? Because I think a lot of what we get stuck in and the reason why we have challenges with underrepresented individuals and diversity is because of that historical old school way of thinking about things and doing things that particularly may exclude others. So I think just being radical, being creative, and not being afraid of sharing some ideas or giving it to someone who will do it for you. And I'm certainly one of those people. Tell me, and we could talk it through. If I agree, then I will share it. I will try to advocate with you. We can both get rejected together, or we can both win together, one of the two, right? So I think it's just being creative, thinking out of the box, and not being afraid to say, like, hey, I don't think that anyone's thought of this before, or maybe we could try it this way. And then just one or two couple steps is just, I think I like to say being radical, but I like to just say, like, inviting others to the room when they're not represented, or at least speaking to it, I think is so important. And I see it a lot. And I think it goes back to what Kevin said about following managers. I followed a manager and followed managers that were able to be radical in their approach to having a diverse network of a team that they built, because it resonated with me. And I'm like, how were you able to do that? How did you get buy-in from your organization to be able to have such a diverse team? And that was one of the things that I did. I followed someone who was already doing that. And then I had one-on-one sessions with them every month. They gave me 15 minutes and I had an agenda. I set it out and I said, this is what I want to know and learn. And also, can you give me feedback on what I could do better? Which is why I started working on networking. Okay. But you know, all those small things I think is a good way to start, but being aware, wanting to do better, that's what you can do as a leader. You start there and then let it take its own, let it take a world of its own.
Okay, thank you. That was excellent. You are a hard act to follow. So
you have all the sayings. I don't have one-liners.
Well, that's just called wisdom, okay, and that's just called living. Okay? So, Bree, I believe that the question that you just asked screams leadership. So organizations must put forth, promote, and advance leaders who influence and persuade, regardless of race or gender. Leaders who can build bridges and allyship. Leaders who are best at empowering others. Leaders who help others understand they can thrive and no longer feel invisible or underrepresented. I have a saying, so here comes another one-liner. Talent raises the floor, but leadership raises the ceiling. Everywhere that I have gone, I have raised the ceiling to give people beneath me room to grow. So leadership takes organizations and people from good to great. So leaders like myself deal in what I call hope. What do I mean by hope? So let's spell hope out. So let's break the word down. H, helping. O, other. P, people. E, excel. I'm a dealer in hope, not as an optimistic state of mind, but as a commitment to others to help them reach their potential. So I have either launched or refreshed the careers of over 30 people, many of them Black, including my son and my daughter. So this is, I believe, is my greatest accomplishment. And to be honest, the opportunities I have been given to where I am today have been given to me by white men. So the opportunity that I have been given to be a prominent leader at Marsh and in this industry leaves me with a mandate to provide a path of opportunity for others. What I do demands my best. I'm always for the future because it's going to happen anyway. So right now, the future may not look bright given what is the rhetoric coming out of DC. However, we must persevere. Remember, you're not finished if you miss out on a promotion or advancement. You're only finished if you quit after going after that promotion or advantage. You know the rules of the game. We must be twice as good to get equal recognition, pay, or promotion. That's never going to change. As my mother always told me, she said, Kevin, you can either be a victim or victorious, but you can't be both. So I've always chosen to be victorious. And as the great James Baldwin said, not everything we face can be changed, but nothing can be changed unless we face it. So keep grinding, keep working. The sun will always come up tomorrow.
Look at the one-liners right there. That was fabulous. You know, I think that question, the theme was really showing up, you know, being involved, you being a part of the solution and being in there with your team and with others. I think that's very important. You have to have leadership, senior leadership buy-in for anything to work, right? So it's important for senior leadership to be involved in these initiatives and these items. So that's wonderful.
And can you do me one favor? I have a flight to catch, so I may not be able to stay for all of the questions.
Okay.
So please share my email, my phone number with anybody who has any questions for me and of me, and I promise you that I will respond as expeditiously as possible to you. I've just got a tight time frame here, and I'm going to drive to the airport. I've got to catch a flight.
Of course. Thank you so much, Kevin. When you have to drop, please go ahead. Tashonda,
Okay,
it might be all up to you for the rest of the questions.
So sorry. Sorry
It's
about
totally
that.
okay.
Absolutely.
Safe
Thank you
travels
so
as
much,
well.
Kevin. Thank you for taking the time out of your day, your busy schedule, obviously, to participate this and answer these questions. It very much clearly has been very helpful to a lot of people that are on the call. So thank you once again.
Been my pleasure. And again, if there's anything that I can do to help support anyone, my information will be shared. I'm on LinkedIn. Reach out to me. I promise you, I will respond.
Thank you. Have a safe flight.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
All right, well, Tashonda, here we go. So there's a couple of questions in the
Okay.
chat and some that I think can kind of be rolled in together. So
Okay.
I'll start with the first one. So this is, I've actually gotten this question a ton from individuals who are looking to pivot. So someone asked, Carlene Colbert asked, what would you advise for an individual who is not currently employed in the insurance industry, but has experience, but needs to develop networking?
Yeah, no, I think that's a really good question. And as a hiring manager myself, we're always thinking of creative ways to find new talent that is not just kind of based in and baked into the insurance network, because it kind of goes along with that frame of work and frame of mind where we want creative thought. We want to stay cutting edge because the insurance industry certainly can be a little bit, again, archaic or outdated sometimes in terms of our approach. So I would say, like, you know, one, if you're on this call, that's a great start, right? If you want to get into the insurance industry, this is a good starting point for NAAIA and or any other organization where you just start to roundtable and connect with folks. I think it works really well when you have relevant experience and just figuring out from an insurance individual how you can tailor that. And so I have a lot of conversations with individuals on that same topic, like, hey, I think that your background can work well with this. So I would encourage that individual or any individual in that state to really just start with knowing their skill set, what they're great at, and then connecting with the individual, more than likely someone who has hiring management capabilities or expertise, experience that can give them some guidance on where to go and how to transition or transfer those skills over, because there's certainly a way to do that. And there's certainly a space where that can happen as well.
All right, thank you, Shonda.
Mhm.
Hopefully that was helpful, Carlene. So next, I have two that are kind of, I think it goes hand in hand.
Okay.
So what is one thing you suggest to help push past being uncomfortable when you are the only person of color in the room, as you said that happened a lot. And then I think to go along with that, this is a fair follow-up, is how do you show up as your authentic self and navigate code switching?
Yeah, no, I think those are both two great questions. So pushing past being comfortable, and I might need you to remind me of the second question after, but I'll start with
Gotcha.
pushing past being comfortable, because that in itself is a weight. And as a person of color, it's a weight that you have just by being, right? And so you already start your life with being, and then you come into an industry where you have to feel that again in some way. So I can't say that there's something that you can do that will help you avoid feeling that ever again. But I think it starts with just being so self-aware and confident. And so building your confidence, building your awareness is the foundation for what you will need to be able to be successful in pushing past that. And I think you just need to take it in small steps. Like I said before, right? Like just going and finding one person. And if you're already working in the industry, you're in the organization, pay attention to those around you. I remember I used to say, like, okay, who's happy and smiling when I'm at the office? Okay. And now who has all these opportunities to do speaking engagements, et cetera, because that's what I wanted to do. I looked for that one person and I knocked on their door, reached out to them one-on-one. And I said, hey, I just wanted to chat. And I told them my thoughts, told them my goals, and I told them how much I admired what they were doing because I was paying attention. And immediately it kind of broke down those barriers. And people's defenses generally are down when you pay attention, you're thoughtful, and you have a genuine approach. And that can start to help you push past being uncomfortable. Also, like, it's okay to just be silent and to observe sometimes when you're in those rooms, especially in the beginning, because it is hard to adjust. Listen to the conversation, listen to the content, figure out where things align with you. And if you're comfortable, taking a step, budging in and inserting yourself, then start to do that slowly but surely. But it's also okay to be silent and to take it in, and then to take the next step of doing that the next time. Or if you see someone else, because a lot of times in those rooms, there's another person over there who's just as uncomfortable, even if they fit in from what you can see on the surface. Find that person who looks like, man, no one's talking to them. Go talk to them, because they'll be happy to have a conversation with you, and it'll start to help you start to forge those relationships with someone that you may have never spoken to before. So I would say those are the small steps. And then it's just, again, like, practice in smaller settings, because that will help you be more comfortable in the larger settings where it is wildly more uncomfortable. The second one, I can't remember. Could you help me with that question again?
Unfortunately,
Oh,
we have
okay.
one more question to
Okay.
ask, and we're kind of, I'm trying to keep conscious of time. I know everyone has a busy work day to get on. But Kevin, he advised go ahead and reach out to him on LinkedIn, or email to Shonda if you are willing for
Yeah,
that.
please. Email, number,
Myself as
everything.
well. I've gone through, I'm not as established, but I've gone through a lot of similar things as well. So please feel free to reach out as well. But we do have one more, just the big question, just to kind of leave everyone with, what would you say in a few sentences, what are the next steps for anyone inspired by today's conversation who wants to start building stronger, more inclusive professional networks immediately?
Yeah, no. Well, step one, reach out to Kevin, myself, or Bree, right? And start some conversation, dialogue. But true, the second step I would say is just set your vision and your goals for yourself, so that you can have that awareness and that baseline, so that you can direct your path appropriately, because you don't want to just be kind of going with the wind, right? So set your vision, set your goals, and it may change and evolve over time, and that's okay. But start there, and then guide those steps and those actions, so that you don't find yourself in rooms and spaces where there's truly no value for you. And then join an organization, right? Join NAAIA, join RIMS, join APIW. I think there's so many young risk, I think professionals, right? I know there's so many different organizations that you can join that can serve your interests. Create your own. if you're that bold as well, because people will support you. You'd be surprised at the support that you can garner. Awkward, don't like to network initiatives, right? Something, it doesn't matter, right? But find those spaces where you can do that, and speak to your manager if you're in an organization currently, and find out how they can support your efforts to strengthen your network. Because if your manager is not supporting you, then one, that'll lead you back to what Kevin stated about following management, right? But two, it may mean that you need to reach out to someone else so that you can get help. And they could be in your organization or out of your organization, but that can help you just start to do the building blocks of building these things for yourself. And as I stated, right, like raise your hand to help somebody who has that desire. Okay. Maybe Jephthah's coming in to cut me off, okay?
I
But
wasn't trying to
be
cut
true
you
to
off
yourself,
mid-sentence
okay?
at all. I was just taking it all in, right, with
Taking it
everybody
in.
else. You
I'll
know?
just finish. I'll finish, Jephthah, okay? Be consistent, be respectful, be authentic and honest, and be transparent. And lastly, just be prepared. And you will make it. You'll figure it out, I promise. But reach out to me. More than happy to chat.
Thank you, Tashonda. All
Thank
right,
you
well,
both.
thank you all. Thank all of our esteemed guests, colleagues, and friends that have joined us today. As we wrap up today's insightful discussion, I want to extend a very heartfelt thank you to our incredible speakers, Tashonda Fleming and Kevin Bryant, for sharing their expertise, personal journeys, and strategies for building meaningful professional connections. Your insights have truly illuminated the power of networking in fostering career growth and driving diversity in our industry. Throughout this conversation, we've explored the importance of mentorship, the challenges underrepresented professionals face, and actionable strategies for creating inclusive networks. What stands out is the clear message that networking is more than just exchanging business cards. Not that a lot of us have those anymore. It's about building relationships that uplift, support, and create opportunities for all. To everyone who joined us today, I encourage you to reflect on what you've learned and take immediate steps towards strengthening your professional networks, whether that means reaching out to a potential mentor, offering support to a colleague, or intentionally expanding your circles to be more inclusive. Every connection matters. At NAAIA, we remain committed to advancing inclusion and creating spaces where Black and African American professionals can thrive. We invite you to stay engaged, participate in future webinars and local NAAIA events, and continue these critical conversations within your organizations and community. Once again, thank you for your time, your engagement, and your commitment to building bridges for inclusive excellence. Let's take what we've learned today and put it into action. Be sure to follow us on LinkedIn and all social media platforms for upcoming events, and have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you for watching this flashback episode of NAAIA. We appreciate your time and hope you found the insights valuable. Stay tuned for more enriching content. Until next time, thank you for being a part of the NAAIA community.